Story 6, Part 10. Threads of Salvation. The city did not sleep. Every street lamp flicker, every distant siren, every subway rumble felt like part of a larger pulse, Satan's pulse, but now I understood it differently. It was a battlefield. Each vanished student, each warped alleyway, each whisper of shadows was a thread waiting to be tugged, a life waiting to be reclaimed. And I was no longer merely a witness. I was a participant in the counter-rhythm, the light's movement through the chaos. I returned to the old church by the river, the place where God's presence had revealed itself. The walls were cracked, dust motes floating in the soft, unnatural glow, yet it felt alive, almost breathing. I knelt and whispered a prayer, not for myself, but for the city, the lost students, the families, the streets that pulsed with darkness without their knowing. A whisper answered me, not from lips, but from the warmth itself. Go, it said. The threads are yours to follow. But do not act alone. The pulse preys on isolation. Seek those who are faithful. Together, you will weave salvation through the city's veins. I didn't have to look far. The first thread appeared almost immediately. Avery. I found him crouched in a deserted subway platform, eyes wide, hands twitching as though invisible strings pulled him in every direction at once. The pulse tried to bind him, to rewrite his will, to make him another vessel of disappearance. But when I stepped forward, I reached for him with more than human strength, I reached with the light. Elias. His voice trembled, a fragile tether to reality. It's everywhere. I can't. Shish, I said. Listen to me. The pulse is not your master. There's a light that moves through this city, and you're part of it. You're not lost. The shadows recoiled, hissed, and pulsed in resistance. Shapes twisted around us, trying to suffocate the space, but I felt the light wrap around Avery and me, threading through our minds like invisible cords of hope and will. He blinked, the fear on his face softening, his body unfreezing, as though the pulse had been paused, momentarily powerless against the rhythm of salvation. We moved through the tunnels together, following a trail of disrupted energy, a map only visible to those attuned to both the pulse and the light. Everywhere we went, students appeared, lost, frightened, malleable to the pulse's command. Each rescue was a battle of wills. The shadows lunged, whispered, tried to pull our minds into paralysis, but the light countered, not by striking, but by revealing, showing each student a truth the pulse could not touch, their life, their value, their destiny. By the time we emerged above ground near the loop, the city's pulse had noticed the disruption. Streetlights flickered violently. The wind carried a metallic hum. The shadows grew taller, darker, pooling in corners, clinging to doorframes, crawling along the river's edge. But the light moved with us, subtle yet unstoppable. Wherever we went, hope followed, threads of salvation weaving through the darkness like golden filaments. You understand now. The whisper echoed in my mind. The pulse is real, and so is the darkness behind it. But it cannot consume a city united in faith, in courage, in action. Every life you reclaim is a thread pulled from the enemy's grasp. Every heart restored is a strand of salvation. Avery looked at me, the first genuine spark of recognition in his eyes. We can fight it. Yes, I said. We already are. And this city, it will not fall entirely. Not while God's people are awake. The pulse throbbed beneath our feet, growling, impatient, aware that its dominion was being challenged. But now, it faced something it could not predict. The light, moving through human hands, human hearts, and human courage. Chicago would pulse again. Shadows would linger. But every thread we reclaimed, every student returned from the invisible grip, was proof that salvation could thread through the darkness, that God's plan was unfolding even in the midst of urban horror. And I knew this war was only beginning.